to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Don't know what that means. The camera decided it had enough of me 5 minutes in here, and
well, that is an issue, by the way. Well, and there are no undefeated teams remaining in the National Football League because your team went to Cleveland against a backup quarterback,
practice squad quarterback,
couldn't win. The Eagles went to the Meadowlands against Zach Wilson, couldn't win. And that's it. The 72 Dolphins raise a glass once again. The key yesterday, there were a lot of crazy games. Defense.
Yeah.
I mean, defense.
Absolutely.
I mean, why did the Browns win defense? Why did the Jets win defense? And, you know, my favorite is, well, the injuries. Yeah, the Jets, you're right. There were injuries. The Jets had 5 defensive backs out. Not 1.
Yeah.
Not 3, 5.
Including Sauce.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. There were injuries. Right? Not just for your team. Everybody has injuries.
Yep.
All right. And not only that, but to be honest with you, it's going to be an issue playing Miami for them coming.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Now your team. This is what Cleveland proved. Cleveland proved if you really pressure Brock Purdy, it's a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
He's throwing off his back foot.
Yeah.
He struggles.
Yep.
And he doesn't move well enough to create something. He does need a good offensive line. And the offensive line did not have a good day for the Niners against the Browns. That game, I watched more of that game than I watched the Eagles game because of the practice schedule yesterday. So, and for some odd reason, I felt that it was well, I actually feel this way every week. It was exponentially more important to be there than watching a game on TV.
Yeah.
So, and Penn State has Ohio State this week. We'll talk a lot about it during the course of the week. Both teams are undefeated. Ohio State won 41-7 at and to be honest with you, I've got to watch the tape closer. It sounds like Purdue was inside the 10-yard line 3 different times in the game, which is... And so I want to watch the tape. I don't want to see what happened because Hudson Card did not have a good day throwing the ball. He was 13 of 32 or something like that. But they ran for they had a guy go over 100 yards rushing in the game. So I don't know. I want to see how it plays out. I want to watch it. Ohio State scored a touchdown on the opening drive of the game, scored a touchdown on the opening drive of the second half. So they're good at getting out of the gate because that's not unusual for them. They have 4 touchdowns in 6 games out of the gate. So getting off to a good start is going to be great. I was talking to my class today about intimidating place to play. No.
I don't know.
Okay.
No, I've said that.
Okay, but it doesn't matter. Okay.
No.
Okay, let's talk about intimidation. Like last year during the playoffs, how often do we hear stories about how intimidating the crowd was at Citizens Bank Park for the Phillies? Over and over and over again, right?
Right.
It's intimidating. Okay, really? Well, if it was so intimidating, how come the Astros won 2 of the 3 games they played there in the World Series? You're either good or you're not. You're either good enough or you're not. Okay? They're not down there on the field with you. Now, are they loud? Do you have to do something with cadence? Do you have to go to silent counts, things like that? Yeah. Right? And we talk about the whiteout and the decibel level of the whiteout Well, guess what? It energizes the home team. There's no getting around it. So there's an energy for the home team. So I will give you all that. But in terms of the opposing team coming in and going, what are you, going into the fetal position? Please. Like, they're not down there with you. Okay? They're not screaming at you in your face. Hey, you've got, right? It's the two tackles that have the biggest issue because of the communication part. It's the communication part that's the issue. Can the two tackles make sure that they take care of business? And, you know, because the wideouts, they're just looking for the ball to be snapped anyway. And the two tackles are the ones that you get most concerned about because they're the furthest away from the ball, but they're on the line. They got to fire off at the same time. All right. But in terms of intimidating, I know I'm just an announcer, and that's all I am. I'm just an announcer. I don't look around and go, oh, boy, this place. Ooh, right? No offense. I've been everywhere. Okay?
Yeah.
I've been everywhere. There's nothing like a Beaver Stadium crowd, and there's nothing like a Beaver Stadium whiteout crowd. But to me, they always energize the home team.
Right.
I mean, yeah. Once the game starts, it's game.
Yeah, there's no question. And you prepare for that. Like, these coaches have been around. There's no question. You always prepare for what you're going to face. Yes, the noise. Does it impact the game? Of course it does. But in terms of it's an invincible place to play, no. And even just using the horseshoe as an example, they've lost to Oregon there. They were blown out by Michigan there last year. They've lost to Virginia Tech there. We're not talking about the Orange Bowl in the 1980s, early 90s, where it was just a special place where they didn't really play anybody. But but you're still
okay. There's two things that come into play.
Yep.
Great crowds. Great
Which
teams.
impact a game, yes.
But great teams.
Great teams are going to trump the great crowd usually.
All right. And guess what? If you go in there and you're better, you're going to win.
You're going to win, typically. Yep. You don't make mistakes, you're going to win. Yep.
I mean, that's okay. And there are teams that go in there and go, all right, here we go. I can't wait to, good. But like the Phillies are going to play Arizona. If the Phillies sweep Arizona, the crowd intimidated them. Arizona's not intimidated. They're professionals, for goodness sakes. If they strike out, it's because the pitch was better. Yeah, sorry. If you throw a lousy pitcher out there and they slap it all over the ballpark, it's because the pitching wasn't that good.
Decibel level at Arco Arena was almost 106 when the Kings played the Lakers, who won that series.
Yeah,
Decibel level was well over 100 in the Delta Center when the Jazz played the Bulls, who won that series.
But again,
it's not.
But again, that's why TV is such an interesting animal, right? They want to dictate what time games are because they're all TV shows, and they're helping to dictate who's in conferences and who's not, and so forth. Okay. But they need the crowd there. The pandemic showed it. The ratings all went down with the cardboard cutouts and the piped-in noise. Right? Saturday, Ohio State, Penn State, over 100,000. It's going to come through the set. It's what they ache for those games. Just like they were thrilled to have Washington and Oregon at 3:30 on Saturday, where that game came through the sound came through because the crowd makes such a difference in the ambiance of the game, the excitement of it. But I have never been one that's I've always felt home crowds really juice up the home team.
Sure.
Home crowds do not intimidate the opposing team. That's just my experience. I know you think you do.
No.
But if they're good, they're not that intimidated.
No. Now, if a quarterback is making his first start in an environment, is it a little bit different? Yes. Then I would say, it is a bigger impact then because they're not used to that spot. But if the guy has been there before, No, I don't think it heavily affects it at all. If it's the better team, they are going to. I agree with you. They are going to be prepared to play, and they're going to win the game.
And Oregon went in 2 years ago, not with Bo Nix, but went in there 2 years ago, right? Mm-hmm. And won the game. Okay, because why? Mm-hmm. On that day, they were better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michigan blew them out last year.
Right, because they were better.
Yeah. Yep.
That's as simple as it gets.
Yep.
Right? And they had not played Michigan in that stadium with fans in 4 years. You don't think those fans were aching to get in there and make a big deal? Because they hadn't played because of the pandemic. They didn't play in 20. So the game at Ohio State in 20 was canceled. Like, in fact, the last game Michigan played that year was when Penn State beat them in Ann Arbor. That was their last game of the year. So they had not played a game in that stadium against Michigan since 2018. So you don't think that those fans, here they come, and Michigan won last year, and here they come, and all that. Michigan blew them out. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they're better. Okay? And that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Right? And I know people hate when I explain these things. Right? They don't like when I do that because they... and I don't want to take away from the fact that you're a factor at a game. You're a factor for the home team. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, Cal McManus made his first start in here last year. Well, that's the first time he's ever had to go in and do silent count.
Absolutely.
Things,
that's my
speed
point.
of the game, things like that. You're absolutely right about it. It's totally different.
Yeah.
But, like, C.J. Stroud came in here, and it took him a little while to get his bearings underneath him. And then after that, he hit some plays. Didn't hurt that he had Marvin Harrison. I think that helped.
Yeah.
And Harrison is a great player. There's no getting around it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's not like
phenomenal.
Penn State doesn't have a great wide receiver in Keandre Lambert-Smith. I mean, there's going to be my guess is it's a total guess that Travion Henderson plays this week. I feel like they've held him out the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just making sure. Mayan Williams is hurt.
Yep.
And it was interesting that Dallin Hayden, last year when Henderson got hurt, remember, Henderson did not play in the college football playoff game against Georgia. He didn't play in the game. But Dallin Hayden played a fair amount. And actually, he had, I think, 3 100-yard rushing games down the stretch last year. Well, they hadn't played him really at all this year. Now, I don't know if they're trying to redshirt him or what they're trying to do with him because of the depth they have at running back. But he played Saturday, and he had, 11 carries, 75 yards in the game. Julian Fleming's a good player. You know that
he's got to reach that peak a little more, Fleming. I think he's got better potential than he's shown so far. But he's a good player, yeah.
Well, he's had 3 years.
He's like 27 years old, I feel like.
He's had 3 years.
Yeah, he has.
Okay, it's not like he's trying. He is a good player.
Yeah,
okay?
good player, but I will rate Ibuka and Harrison above him.
Sure,
I think
of course they are.
Absolutely.
And then so do they. That's where they throw the ball.
That's why they throw him the ball, absolutely.
Ibuka had an ankle injury. It was near the end of the Maryland game. And so I knew he wasn't going to play against Purdue. We'll see what he does. I think if he does play, the concession is going to be that Ballard will return punts.
Yeah.
Because Ibuka has been their punt returner. Yep. Ballard will return punts. All right. I think that'll be the concession if Ibuka plays. Henderson, let's face it, you got to assume he's going to play. The guy that I look at in this game, where you've got to keep a really close eye on, is Stover. The tight end.
Yeah.
Stover, the tight end, is a good player, and he seems to be one of those guys like, well, they got Ibuka, they've got Harrison, they've got Fleming, they got Henderson, and who's the forgotten guy? And he's open. He got 2 touchdowns on Saturday.
Probably the best tight end in college football not named Brock Bowers.
Well, let's look at this game. You've got Stover, Warren, and Johnson.
Yep.
You're going to have
3
of the top tight ends in college football in the same field.
No question.
Hey, you're going to have Keandre Lambert-Smith and Marvin Harrison, 2 of the top wide receivers in college football in the same field. Linebackers? Eichenberg, Steele Chambers, Abdul Carter, Curtis Jacobs. All in the same field? Really?
Defensive line, I think, is going to be exciting, too, both ways.
Okay, Tyreek Williams has had a big year, 91.
Yeah.
People don't realize it, but he has. JTT.
Yep.
Okay. Chop. Adisa. Deny.
Uh-huh.
Right? All in the same field.
Yeah.
Really? Right.
And you include you assume Henderson does play the running game both ways.
Well, you've got Henderson, you've got Hayden, you've got Singleton, you have Allen, all in the same field. Okay, so go play ball.
Yeah.
And that's what you have. That's.
Yep.
I mean, I'll answer questions all week long. I mean, tomorrow morning before I do this, I've got 3. Trying to get as many out of the way early in the week as I can.
As you can. Yep.
Yeah. So I've got one at 8:30 tomorrow, one at 10, and one at 10:30.
Yep.
And it'll all be the same questions. It'll be all the same answers.
And you look also at the schedule. This number one, first of all, was a brilliant move by Fox picking this game up, because you look at what is complement to them. Obviously, Penn State and Ohio State's going to draw no matter what, but this has the potential to be a monster-rated game.
Oh, sure it does.
Because there is just nothing in that time slot that is going to go head-to-head with that at all. Yeah, so this is why, yes, it was a smart move. Obviously, it's always a smart move picking the game up. It's always a smart move picking up Penn State, Michigan, and picking up this game where you have very little competition in that time slot. This has the potential ratings wise to be a monster rated game. It's going to be no matter what. But now with no competition whatsoever around it, this has the potential to be one of the most watched games without question.
All right. So this is why, if you're Fox and you're sitting in Beverly Hills and you're making your decisions about what to do with the future of your sports properties, this is why you bid as heavily as you do for the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
So you can sit there on Thanksgiving weekend and have Ohio State, Michigan. So that you can sit there in October and have Penn State, Ohio State. And I don't know what the status is of, I'm going to guess Penn State, Michigan is also, I'm going to guess.
Yeah, it's confirmed as big news. Yeah, they
right?
do have the game. Yes.
Right? But that's why you bid like this. This is why you float the extra money to get Oregon and Washington in after watching last week's game. It's why you float them. That's why you kick in more money for the contract, because you get USC and UCLA in. Because you're looking to get the big brands to play each other. Just like with the SEC, why they brought in Texas, Oklahoma. Well, now Texas is going to play Alabama. Now Texas is going to play Texas A&M. And Oklahoma is going to continue to play Texas. And Oklahoma is going to be playing, I don't know if they're going to play Georgia. Georgia never plays anybody in that division.
That's a good point.
I'm not joking.
That's a good point.
Like I said, the Texas A&M thing, been in the conference 13 years. Georgia's never played a game in College Station. Never. I don't even think they know where it is. They know it's in Texas, but they're not quite sure. In fact, my understanding is like they had on Google Maps had to find it, because I think they're supposed to play there next year.
I believe so.
I think. That's not a conference.
No.
All right. That's a league. And there was a difference. Notre Dame was great. I want to get to Daquan Hardy before I move on. Daquan Hardy is one of those undersized, terrific athlete who was developed into a really good college football player. The punt returns are one thing. But watch how he's played in coverage this year. He has been outstanding. By the way, who leads Penn State in interceptions? He does. He has two.
Right.
And he's, to me, an example of the payoff of working, fighting it out, getting getting better, fighting it out, and persevering. We're in an era where anybody can jump anytime they want. I want more playing time. I want to be the star. I want to be... Okay, fine. I got it. All right. Okay. I need to go someplace where my talent shines. Okay. This guy stays. Now, to me, he's a star. Always been a starter. If you're the slot corner, especially in today's game, you play so much, you're a starter.
Absolutely.
I remember watching him as a true freshman. Now, he's about to become a redshirt freshman, so this would be in the spring of 2020, spring of 2019, something like that. And I'm like, God, I'm watching him like going, holy mackerel. I said to the doctors, I usually stand with them at practice, figure something happens to me, they're close by. And I looked over at Wayne Sebastianelli. I said, geez, Wayne, every time I turn around, I said, this is when Hardy's a kid. I said, he's always around the ball. So, every time you turn around, he's always around the ball. You watch him on scout team, he's always around the ball. I said, you watch him now in these workouts where it's not scout team anymore, right? He's always around the ball. So I wasn't surprised to see this in terms of him getting his shot being in the slot corner and so forth, because it made complete sense. And that's the hardest one to play, is the slot corner. To me, that's because the guy's off the line of scrimmage.
Yep.
You can't really jam him. That's why they put him in the slot, because you're staggered back just a bit, right? And guys that have trouble getting off a jam at the line of scrimmage, they like to slide him over into the slot just to give him a little more freedom and leeway. You can still jam him, but not to the same extent. Unless you're the Buffalo Bills defense, then you can jam all the way to the end of the play.
To the end of the play, and then hold on and tug the jersey while you're at it.
And then have a guy who's a league director officials tell you that, well, I'm not so sure. Like, what do you mean not so sure? He grabs him at the goal line, keeps grabbing all the way through. Hey, yo, Terry, I respect you, but guess what? You're dead wrong. Okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean the Giants would have scored.
No.
But they should have the ball at the half-yard line.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I looked at Saquon and said, just jump over the thing. Go all the way up.
Absolutely, right. Which he's done so many times. Yeah.
But that jam, now in college, you can jam until the ball's released.
Right. There's
no 5 yards. So that's the difference between the NFL rule and the college rule. There's no 5-yard area where you can have unfettered contact. It can go until the ball's released. He plays it so well. His positioning is great. Now the running joke that, who the heck did we have on the post-game show? It was Jalen Reed. We had him on the post-game show for Northwestern, and Jack asked him, he says, on the Hardy interception, we're like, he just threw it right to him. Hardy's just standing there and just caught it.
Yeah.
Jack says to Reed, he says, let me ask you something. Does that count?
Yeah.
And Reed says, no, I really don't think so.
Yeah, I remember he said something like, "Was that the easiest one he had?" Yeah, I'll be honest with you. That was
it's like throw it right to him.
That was Neil O'Donnell to Larry Brown throw. Yeah, that pass.
But this is where you see the development of a player, and he's a great example of a development of a player. I mean, 2 years ago, my goodness, in the snow at Michigan State, picked off a pass, ran it back for a touchdown in the snow at Michigan State. The guy's just a good player. Now, is he going to blow you away with when they do the measurements on his size and so forth? No, but his speed will come into play. And on a punt return, all right, so 2 keys on a punt return. And it's almost comical to listen to it. You got to take it. You got to be able to run like I said. They talk about the difference between he and Saunders. Well, what's the number one thing you need to do in a punt?
Catch it.
Hey, never seems to be brought up, right? It doesn't seem to be brought up. I sit there and go,
especially in traffic. You better catch that ball.
I was sitting there like going, okay, right, okay. And he knows the one he came up in traffic. Hardy did that, right? Guys flying by him. That's big. Got to catch it. What's the next thing you have to have? Judgment.
Judgment on it. Yeah, vision.
Right? So, because you're back there by yourself. So let me tell you what Derek Williams told Jack and me. Because Jack one day asked him on the pregame show, when Derek was a part of our broadcast, about what's the key for a punt returner? What do you look when you're the only guy back? And this was great stuff. And Derek said the first thing I would look at was, before I picked up the ball, was the ball's kicked, okay. And I would look to see, did the gunners get a free release off the line of scrimmage or did they get jammed? He said, now it told me, okay, I might have a shot on this punt based on everything that I can return it. He says, if they got free release and the ball was kicked high, he says, I knew I was going to have to fair catch it. He said, but those two combinations, it's a little more difficult now with rugby-style punters.
Right.
Because when you are putting a watch on a rugby-style punter, you cannot put the watch on from the time the ball is kicked to the time the ball is caught. Because what happens is this. Normal, straight-on punter, boom, ball hit,
ball hits,
watch goes.
there.
Okay, you want it to be a little bit more than 4 seconds of hang time. 4.1, 4.2, whatever, right? Okay. Rugby-style punter. Now, why do you need 4.1, 4.2? Because that's what it takes for the gunners to get downfield in their position. Okay? From the time the ball snap, boom. Okay. Rugby-style punter takes it, and they'll run a couple of steps. Then they'll kick the ball. So you have to take the time from the time they receive it and go, because those gunners, while he's taking his 2-3 steps before he kicks it, have already taken how many steps downfield off the snap. And so that's how you have to time it now.
Yep.
Right? The key for Daquan the other day, Day-Day's sitting there, they were line drive punts. And he was able to take it, made sure it didn't hit the ground. That's a big one.
Mm-hmm.
But we're talking about judgment. You
Absolutely.
can't let the ball hit the ground. And he said, then you let that feel for it. Some guys have to have a feel for it. Jack and I have always felt that on kickoff returns, Larry Johnson always had a feel for it. Where is everybody? Where are the chess pieces? Where's the opening? Okay? When do I really hit the accelerator? I think everybody just thinks, I'm going to take it and run as fast as I can. Over here in the back, not how it works. Okay? All right? Okay. All right. There's a certain point where you've got to, you're going, and all of a sudden, boom, there's the opening, and now you really kick it into a high gear. Okay? Those are the guys that have judgment and feel for it. And we always knew he had the judgment and feel for it. And remember, he wasn't available the first 2 games, so Caden had to be the punt returner. And you also have to remember that when you are a defensive back on punt returns, what have you been doing before you went back to return the punt?
Yeah. Playing defense.
Yes, you've been running around. Okay. Okay, so everyone's like, I don't understand why he's up. Hey, look, guys. Okay, you got to remember what he's doing before he goes back to return a punt.
Yep.
Okay, how fresh is he? Okay?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that come into play about this.
Sure.
And it's not just as simple as, he should be out there all the time. Well, maybe he should be back there all the time. Maybe you're not wrong. But you also have to remember he's putting in some mileage before he goes back to do it, too.
Yeah. And the other big part of it is, and you talked about the catch being the biggest part. Everybody just looks at a punt return like, oh, this guy should get me 30 yards every time. No, there's so much more to it. This is a guy, first of all, catching the ball in traffic, not letting it bounce. Absolutely. You save yourself a lot of times 30, 35 yards right there on that play alone, making that catch in traffic on a fair catch, making sure that ball doesn't bounce, and who knows when that ball hits the turf or grass where it's going to go. That's one of the major things.
Right.
The catch is major, absolutely. You have possession. Those are 2 massive parts of a punt returner. It's like the comparison, and this is obviously not similar in terms of position, but the wide receiver, everybody wants that 4-1 guy that can just burn down the field. You know what you have to do? You got to catch the ball when it's thrown to you. Not a lot of guys do when they have that 4-1 speed or whatever it is. You got to be the guy that catches the ball. Then do what you got to do when you catch the ball. Catching the ball is the biggest thing, first and foremost, and it's the step, and that's absolutely right. It is the step that is ignored at wide receiver, at punt returner, at just about any position.
Well, it's interesting. People talk about taking shots. Oh, Daquan Hardy was the co-special teams player of the week.
Co?
He was the co-special.
What, did somebody hit 10 extra points?
I can't wait to read this.
I was going to say, I don't know how he's co.
Really? I mean, I don't want to obviously disregard.
Yeah, that's same here.
It's what somebody else has done. But, I mean, you know me, it doesn't really matter.
No, but.
Who knows? Oh, I see. I was looking at my emails to see if I got the Big Ten email. And there was something about congratulations, you're in some article. I'm like, oh, whatever, I could care less. Okay, whatever. No, I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either.
Palmer Trial, here it is, co-special teams player of the week. Let's see who he shared it with. Let's see. Last weekend, punts, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. I mean, it's just an article about it. Doesn't say who he shared it with. Which is fine. I'm sure whomever. Yeah. Oh. Oh, excuse me. I now know who it is.
Did he hit 17 field goals? Or?
Nope. Jack asked me before the game what the over and under of the Iowa-Wisconsin game was. And of course, did I know? Of course not. I
had no clue either.
So I said, well, let me look on my phone. So I look on my phone, and of course, ESPN lists the games, and they also do what the point spread is, what over and under is. So I boom, boom, boom. I had to go to the Big Ten segment of it to find it. I go, 35. He goes, 35? Yeah, 35. And of course, what did the two teams combine for? 21. A 15-6 win. So the Big Ten Player of the Week, because he hit 5 punts of 50 yards or better and averaged 50.6 yards a punt, is Tory Taylor of Iowa.
I told you had to do something where he had like 10 extra points or 5. There's no way a guy did more than in terms of special teams with returning than what Hardy did on Saturday.
Now, you know how I feel about these things. I really could care less.
No,
I think it's great for. I think it's great for the player.
I was going to say it's great for the player, though. I couldn't care less either, but it's great for the player to get the recognition.
But you look at this stuff and go, okay, let's see. In the history of Penn State football, nobody's returned 2 punts for a touchdown.
No. And you look at the names that have been back there. Jimmy Cephalo, O.J. McDuffie. These guys are...
Okay. Right? And we're going to share it with a guy who had 5 50-yard punts. For all I know, the wind was blowing 50 miles an hour. The guy's a good punter. Taylor is a really good... And he has to be a good punter, okay? Okay? Because they obviously don't move the football. No. To their credit... They take a lot of punts.
Caitlin Clark scored more yesterday than Iowa scored in a home game all year.
Oh, brutal.
Not even. Well, to her credit, you can't say enough about her. She's changing I want to say changing the game, but she's great for women's sports.
It's
Absolutely.
Great for women's sports.
Absolutely.
But look, she's in a long line of people that people say she's changed the game. She's changed the game.
She's changed the game and where it is right now.
Okay.
I would not say.
Diana Taurasi, she's going to change the game. Okay. Sue Bird, she's going to change the game. Okay. Shamika Holesclaw is going to change the game. Okay. Right. Look, There's just a long list of people that they're trying to bank on to do that. I got it. She's a really great offensive player.
Incredible talent. Yeah.
Right? Defensively, I'd attack her all day.
Yeah. I agree. She's good.
I would make her play defense
on
all
ball, especially
day long.
On ball, especially.
Right?
Entering the passing lane, she's good. But on ball, no. I agree.
Over here, guess what? No dog in the hunt. Okay, so I'm not trying to promote this, that, the other thing. Okay, you want to talk from a realistic basketball point of view.
Yeah.
Right, which people don't want to hear.
No.
They don't want to hear that. She is a great offensive player, terrific shooter, sees the floor, fabulous passer, dictates the tempo, plays at various tempos, the whole thing. Defensively, she's a liability.
Yeah.
Right? I'm telling you, you're sitting there and you're like...
In a zone defense entering the passing lane, she's good, but she's not on ball. No.
You're sitting there and they're playing man-to-man. It's like, where's Waldo? All right? You're sitting there, and every coach sits there all the time. Okay, I've been in a lot of film sessions. Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
All right, that's the person. If we get the one-on-one matchup, we're attacking. I watched Iowa play a couple times last year on TV. I'm like going, okay,
yeah,
all right, all right. I mean, I'd make her play defense.
Yeah,
and the reason I make her play a lot of defense, I make her run, and
make her tire out. Absolutely,
run. It may not work,
right?
But is she a great offensive player?
One of the best.
Question.
Yeah, one of the
best. Is she a good defensive player? She's workable.
I think. Good. I would say. Yeah, I would not say bad on defense. I would say good. I would say good. Yeah.
There's some players that are uninterested in playing defense. She's interested in playing defense. She's not very good at it. Sorry. I mean, if it doesn't fit the narrative, I apologize, but it's like that's just the way it goes. I'm sorry.
She's absolutely. And then that's just real quick, brief touching on women's basketball. People forget, and this might show our age. I hear the greats. I hear, this person's great, this person's great, this person's great, this person's great. I never hear Cheryl Miller's name. I never saw a player better than Cheryl Miller. I still haven't seen
I saw Cheryl Miller play in person.
She was phenomenal.
I saw her play in person, and was a phenomenal player who could put the ball on the deck, who could step back and take the shot, who could rebound, was a good passer. I mean, it's like, I'll bet the driveway games between her and Reggie were really, really good.
Yeah,
but she's one of the best players I ever saw. But she played in the 80s and is kind of forgotten in some ways.
Yeah, because you didn't have the professional level.
Right. You didn't have the professional level at that particular time. It's a great player. Look, there have been great players all over the place. Caitlin Clark is the latest in the line of great players.
Yeah.
Right.
And there will be a great that comes by.
Right. There'll be
this year or later.
Other people. Angel Reese is a really terrific player. Okay, that's fine. That's great. That's great for the game. Enescu, who played for Oregon. Was a terrific player.
Yeah.
Right?
Complete player. Right? Yeah, she was good at all.
Really good player. The thing is that is not helping, and is the fact that let's again, it's hard to have honest conversations because people have agendas. I got it. I have no dog in the hunt.
No.
Right? Is the WNBA talent-wise is the best it's ever been?
Yeah.
Interest-wise, it's a little bit more than it was, but
no, it's not much.
How in the heck are you going to get people to watch your product when you're up against the National Football League?
Not happening.
This is your championship.
Not happening.
This is what you did. You put it up against the NFL on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, it isn't happening.
Right? I'm sorry. There's no good time of the year to play it.
No. Your best bet is to put it on a weeknight.
To me, your best bet, and I don't know if there's a problem with foreign leagues and so forth. So that's the part I don't know how to judge. Like, because a lot of the players in the WNBA are playing overseas.
Yeah.
Right? And which is that, I think everybody knows now after Brittany Griner they do.
Yeah.
But Kelly Mazzani played in Russia. I remember talking to Kelly last year, but when Griner was picked up about if she ever had any trouble, she says you had to really understand your P's and Q's when you went over there to kind of just make sure you stayed out of everybody's way. So she never had a problem. But Tarasi and Bird have both played over there and been played in several European countries and in Russia. Right? So I don't know how long the Russian season goes or other seasons go. But to me, you know when I'd finish the dang thing?
In the summer?
4th of July.
Yeah. Yep.
Right? What's going on the 4th of July? People are fireworks. I'd play the game at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the 4th of July where people are hanging around. I think you get a great rating.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And you know what I mean? And see, and then, maybe play game 1 of the series on that, like this year, the 4th of July is what, a Thursday?
Wednesday. Thursday, you're right. It is a Thursday. A leap year. Forgot about that. You did get it. Darn leap years.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Why in the leap year? I would have had it right at up in the leap year.
Finish it up.
Yeah.
Game 1, 4th of July. Get people interested. Then play game 2 that weekend. Then a third game where nothing else is going on. The NBA season is over.
MLB
Major League
playoffs.
Baseball's headed toward the All-Star break. Right? Stanley Cup playoffs are over. It's like it could be your window to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're playing your playoffs during the NFL season and college football.
And that's the other thing. Yeah, college football, MLB playoffs. And
you're going up against everything else. You're an afterthought.
Even from a basketball perspective, are people watching heavily preseason NBA? No. But your mind at this point, if you're a basketball fan, just strictly basketball fan, your mind is on the NBA right now.
Sure.
You're not focused at all over what anybody else is doing.
That's right.
And that's a big part of it. Are your ratings showing in the preseason? No. Of course not. But your mind is going to be on the NBA.
Now let's give it what the biggest plus of the league happens to be. ESPN has it. And ESPN promotes the living daylights out of it.
ESPN has it. Good demographic.
They promote the WNBA exponentially more than they promote Big Ten football. And no, I'm not joking.
You are absolutely,
because they don't have the Big Ten contract, and they have the WNBA contract.
Did the same thing with hockey for many years.
Right? So here are their headlines today. First woman GM in Major League history leaves Marlins, okay? Running back Harris of the Bills, neck heading in good direction. Dame and Giannis debut to favorable reviews for Bucks. Badgers Mordecai out with broken hand, Big Ten story. 49ers lose Samuel, McCaffrey, and Jason Lord in loss to Browns. I don't know how you got in there.
I can't believe that. I tell you, that's uncalled.
Cricket and flag football added for 28 Olympics, Los Angeles. Terrific Montgomery lifts Rangers to game 1. And what's the last story? Liberty get back our identity to force game 4. So they've got all that in there. Okay? And they made sure they got the WNBA story in there because guess what? They're carrying the series. Okay? They're carrying the series. Was it the Cowboys and Chargers tonight? Really?
It is.
And that's the game that's opposite the Phillies?
I believe so. Yeah, I will be watching. I will not be watching the Cowboys and Chargers. I'll be flipping commercial.
By the way, Rangers and Astros play game 2 this afternoon. So just so you know, after the Rangers won 2-0 last night, this big Yankee fan, I said to him, didn't you guys just have Jordan Montgomery? Pretty good.
Cardinals had him too.
Yeah, no, they dealt him the Cardinals. But today, you want to talk about a great pitching matchup? Framber Valdez and Nathan Eovaldi. Wow.
Former Red Sox Eovaldi. Yeah.
Eovaldi, 2018
phenomenal.
In a loss. He pitched all these yeoman innings in that 18-inning game where Max Muncy finally beat him with a home run in the 18th inning. Right? And he saved the entire bullpen. The Red Sox then won games 4 and 5, won the World Series. But Eovaldi is a guy that has done very well in this spot in his career. So is Valdez. I think Framber Valdez, a heck of a hit. Threw a no-hitter earlier in the year. And then you got Zach Wheeler tonight against Zach Gallen. And Gallen was a 17-game winner during the season. Pitched very well, I thought, against the Dodgers. Torey Lovello has a quick hook, though. I mean, I don't know. Wheeler, I love how Wheeler pitches. Wheeler, to me, is the kind of guy, and I've mentioned this the other day. There's just certain guys that are the coolest cats in the room. Right? You always, it's just like another regular season game. Who are you trying to convince, me or you? Him, it's like, yeah, we're good. Just give me the ball. And certain guys are like that. Certain guys are like that. And certain guys develop into that. Let's take one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I felt that LeBron James, early in his career, fought his way through the playoffs trying to prove that he was a great player and struggled.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally settled. I almost felt like winning the first title did everything for him. It settled him. And he became a great playoff player after that, because after that, okay, finally got that one, right? It's like, okay, now we can just kind of let's see how many we can get here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay, that's really cool. So he ended up with a second one in Miami, one in Cleveland. He's got one with the Lakers. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's become a heart rate 45 playoff performer.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
He was not that early in his career.
No, especially with his shot. I think that was one big thing. Yeah, you couldn't rely on him for an outside shot in the early parts of his career. He's still not high percentage, but he can hit the shot now.
But you know what? And this is where I'm not around to know if he's doing it or not. But, boy, you get the impression that Ben Simmons does not work on his game in the offseason.
Looking better in the preseason. Looking better so far. I think he's worked.
I'm talking about over the years.
Yeah, but no, over the history years. Tells us absolutely not.
You can see LeBron in the offseason, year after year after year, worked on his shot, and became a really good outside shooter.
Yeah.
After being a mediocre outside shooter, and I'm talking about threes, early in his career, and you can tell he worked. And again, that's where games are made. Games are made when nobody else is watching. Yeah. Right?
And to LeBron's credit, number one, obviously the work ethic is incredible.
He learned,
yeah, absolutely. And to me, and look, I'm not saying he's the greatest to ever play the game. I don't think he is. But there are few that have ever played the game that have made the guys around him all-star caliber at times, and they had no business being all-star caliber players. I think he was a guy that made everybody around him so much better. You look at the Cleveland teams in 2006, 2005, 2006, they had no business being in the NBA Finals. He took them there. And that, I think, speaks volumes. And then obviously learned from that, got swept by the Spurs, and moved ahead. Obviously made the decision that I think if he did it all over again, he'd handle it differently. I think he's matured a lot.
Sure.
And you look at what he's done, lost to Dallas, learned from that. Mm-hmm. Went in, I think, obviously winning that title, number one, but number two, that second gold medal with Coach K. I think he learned a lot from Coach K, wisdom-wise, basketball-wise.
Coach K loves him.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach K speaks highly of him, speaks highly of Kobe.
Yep.
And I think that, to me, was the Olympic Games in 2012. Yeah, 2012, London. That was the Olympic Games where I think you saw LeBron James, I think, extinguish the villain role a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think he became a very mature player. He very obviously showed he was extremely coachable. And was pretty much a likable player, but not only by his peers, but by the fans.
Penn State, Indiana, the game will be a noon kickoff. It's going to be actually on CBS. CBS is trying to cobble together a schedule with the Big Ten next year, because next year they go all in, because they still have to split with the SEC. So the Penn State, Indiana game will be a noon game at Beaver Stadium on October 28th.
Yep. 6 noon kick, I believe.
Let's see.
Counting Michigan?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I've got to think about it here for a second. They played at night twice.
Yeah, played at night twice. Played Delaware
once.
Yep. Delaware at noon. Delaware, Northwestern, Illinois at noon. Yep.
Ohio State noon.
Ohio State, Michigan, Indiana. Yes, it is 6.
So, but yeah. I thought it was interesting that the story about the 49ers, they put your name in there.
I couldn't believe that they don't put it in when they win. You know, they lost, and then they put my mug in there. I can't believe it. Going to get me barred from another building.
And you thought my subtle campaign would never work. He can't damage me. Just takes time. It's like paper cuts.
Jesus, it's way in.
A whole bunch of them. It's still painful. There any reason why you wore that today except because it keeps you warm?
Keeps you warm, yeah. A little bit warmer. I have to invest in a middle weight jacket.
Like, do you have like all logo stuff or?
For the most part, if it's not Penn State Phillies, Flyers, Sixers, or
My brother was
49ers, it's usually Nike, Adidas, or something like
That's what
that.
my brother was kidding me about the other day. He says, they gave you all that stuff? I go, yeah. Because he asked me about my sneakers. I'm like, he said, where'd you get those? I said, didn't buy them. Okay.
Yeah. I remember
he says, so whenever you give me something, it's just like some hand-me-down? I said, yeah, of course.
I remember I think it was for a communications class, a project. I did it on the shoe companies and how much they've branded out, and Nike obviously being the biggest one. And I remember my teacher at the time almost interrupting it with 1 minute to go. Well, I can tell you promoted anyway, and she looked at all my clothing. You're a walking advertisement to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, it's like it's a real debate between you and a NASCAR driver.
I'm not smacking the branded water or anything off the table just yet.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. How much Metallica merchandise do you own?
Too much.
Okay.
I usually
the first step to recovery is admitting
it. Yep. A lot of tour shirts, and then they put their garage sales on, and I have to always buy something there.
Well, you know what? This is what maybe a lot of people don't realize. You know what they do with the losing team merch?
Oh yeah, send it overseas.
Yeah. So there are a lot of young people running around right now with Phillies World Championship T-shirts, Eagles Super Bowl champion T-shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Around the world. Hey, where'd you get that? Okay. Back tomorrow. Are you in all week?
I believe so. You get a break Wednesday for me.
And Friday.
And Friday. There you go. Friday, too. That's true.
I only have to be 2 more days.
Yeah. There it is. Look at that.
I think my camera went out anyway.